It's about that time, baby. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Here we go.
The Sinclair Show is on.
It's on.
Running with your friends, come on.
Come on.
It's a moment of the show tonight. Mailbag is tight. Sinclair is on the mic.
Once again, it's on. You're still troubled in your home. Got your tripping, don't know right from wrong. Send your letters to the show so we can talk you through. Get the answers to your questions because we speak that truth. Sometimes you doubt yourself, lost your health. Faith is on the fence, but you believe that Jesus knows your well. Keep it moving, spirit flowing because we're here to provide someone to lean on when you're falling. Wednesday 8 and 9 and it's on. Once again, it's on. You're listening to the only morning show at night. It is the Sinclair Show coming to you live and direct. That's what I said, people, live and direct. First, I want to thank all of you all who continue to support the show, because without you all, there will be no reason for me to be up here each and every week, man, for almost 6 hot years, man. Some of y'all done seen me go from dark to gray. That's right. Yeah, somebody said, well, why is your hair not gray? I'm like, man, y'all must don't see me to the side. Y'all see the side preview. Y'all know I had to cut away the gray. That's it. Because I ain't got time to be putting the dye in. I ain't knocking none of y'all to be go ahead and streaking your stuff up, but I got to rocks with it. However, the good Lord gives it to me, and you should too. Be proud of your gray because it's yours. You earn that gray, and Lord knows how to earn this right here, for real, for real. Anyway, but I certainly want to thank all of you all who continue to send your mailbag questions and comments to sinclairtalk@outlook.com. I'm going to continue to address as many as possible each night that I'm on the air to reach you. Who are y'all? Y'all the valued listeners. That's right, the valued listeners. Yeah, that thing right there. So anyway, first, let me see who's the first person on the show tonight so I could give them the credit where credit is due. James Key was the first one up. What's going on, cuz? Glad you could join us tonight. Let me see who else is up here. Gwendolyn Lady Elegance Pritchett. And she letting y'all know she's shining in. Y'all heard me, I said she's shining. Queens always shine. She's shining in from Huntsville, Alabama, the Rocket City, representing. I see Jay Dizzle. What's up, Jay Dizzle? Yeah, that's how we get down. So anyway, as more people come on, we're going to give y'all the shouts out and everything going to be everything. I see Annie Moore. What's going on, Annie Moore? Glad to see you this evening. See, that's old school right there. Annie Moore, you know how you can tell a grown woman be acting a little different. They don't come in with all the fanfare. They hit you with something very plain, very simple. Good evening. See, young folks, they come in with all, they want to shout out. They want to do all kind of stuff. The seasoned, mature women, they come in, good afternoon. Glad to see you. That's what I'm talking about. But however, whatever. Y'all, there go by mama. Hey, mama. Man, let me tell y'all something. True story. My mama tell on you right now. So it was right before the show. You know, I was getting ready for the show, prepping up and everything. And so I get a call. And they say, hey, what's going on with your mama? Your mama might be a little under the weather. I said, what? So y'all know what I do. I do the right thing. I call mama. Mama, you good? Mama said, what you talking about? I said, so she gave me one of them old seasoned answers. I just thought I needed a few greens. Mama, you almost made me cancel the show on these people tonight. Nikki Carter, what's going on? So, first and foremost, word to the wise people. If I got to cancel the show because mama's under the weather, all of y'all be talking to yourselves on the show because I want to be peace out with the deuces. But mama said we could still do the show tonight. She said she just need a few greens in her system. Don't worry about it, mama. I'm going to go tomorrow. I'm going to buy you all the greens. You're going to be eating broccoli and kale and spinach and salads and all kind of greens. Matter of fact, you got nothing but greens for you for the whole weekend. How about that? Matter of fact, you're going to be calling next week talking about, I just need some protein in my system because these greens are killing me. But anyway, y'all, I just want to let y'all know that mama be coming through for y'all. Tonight's show is brought to y'all by mama because mama almost got the show canceled for y'all. But look at how God be working. Nikki Carter says she hopes she feel better. Well, ain't that nice, Nikki Carter? The arch nemesis does have a heart sometime. Oh, and matter of fact, let me tell y'all, man, I want to send a shout out to my cuz right now. He's in the recuperation process. Yeah. Chester Deloach, what's going on? Don't act like you don't hear my voice. Yeah. But that's my cousin. He went through a little situation, but he is fast and furious, recovering. So all is well. Everybody's showing nothing but love. That's what I like to see right there. Nikki Carter talking about don't get carried away. Whatever, Nikki Carter. And you done already got your props for the evening. That can turn negative very quickly because you know how we feel about the Me Too movement. We ain't too staunch on that in the first place. But anyway, I digress. Let me say something, people. So tonight's show, we got a couple of James said he had to put his eyes on him today himself. Yeah, absolutely. And let me say this to y'all, people, just as a matter of reference. When you have an opportunity to see your people. You know, sometimes we get caught up in the busyness of life and we don't check on them. And we don't check on them till they get sick or whatever. But if you got an opportunity, go check your people out. Because you never know when you're not going to be able to check them out. You know what I mean? But again, we are glad and blessed that all is going well. And that we expect 100% recovery and he'll be back to live. Matter of fact, I'm gonna tell y'all something. If I had to describe Chester, y'all all got one of them cousins that live life to the absolute fullest. That's that dude. He probably gonna get me, when he get up out of there for saying, but he live life to the fullest. If he can think it, he'll do it. Okay. I'm talking about he be doing all kind of stuff. He ain't scared of nothing, just crazy stuff. Me, I still got a little bit of fear in me. I got stuff I won't do. But that's for a different day. Detective Pamela Black, how you doing? Glad to see you tonight. So anyway, people, let me tell y'all, we got some good topics, but we're going to spend the initial part of the show. I got to talk to y'all about y'all, boy, for all of my Anglo-Saxon and Negro Republicans. I got to talk to y'all about the little Donald Trump scenario because so many people wanted me to explain this process because on one hand, I've got my Republican associates saying, hey, this is just so much to do about nothing. There's some foolishness. And then I got some Democrats saying we ought to be getting them. And then I got the independents that's somewhere in the middle. And some people are saying this ain't even really a crime. So we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk about the dumbest bank robber ever. And we're going to talk about Mississippi cops who tortured Michael Corey Jenkins before shoving a gun in his mouth and shooting off his tongue. So we're going to talk about all that stuff tonight. But as I'll often say, Nikki Carter, I know you want to lock him up. And that is for the judicial system. I must be fair and impartial in my, I was hoping that we was going to have our little legal beagle on because that might have been a added bonus for our discussion tonight. Maybe she'll come on here in a few minutes. But for those of you who are living under a rock this week, one of the things that we found out that Donald Trump on yesterday, I believe it was, found himself in old New York City, not at Trump Towers, but at the courthouse. And he had to go and present himself because the grand jury of the county of New York indicted him on 34 counts. Now, some people said, man, 34 counts. So let me read to you all so y'all can follow along in your emotions. The Supreme Court of the state of New York, and you can find this online for those of you who like to deep dive into things. You can find it online yourself, but it says the Supreme Court of the state of New York, the people of the state of New York, and guess what they say? They say the grand jury versus Donald J. Trump, who is listed as the defendant. It says the grand jury of the county of New York by this indictment accuses the defendant of the crimes of falsifying business records in the first degree in violation of Penal Law 175.10, committed as follows. The defendant in the county of New York and elsewhere on or about February 14th, 2017, with the intent to defraud and intent to commit another crime and aid and conceal the commission thereof, made and caused a false entry in the business records of an enterprise, to wit, an invoice from Michael Cohen dated February 14th, 2017, marked as a record of the Donald J. Trump Revocable Trust and kept and maintained by the Trump Organization. Oh, y'all, guess who done joined us tonight? Mimmy Mims. Yeah, everybody say hello to the Mimster, AKA watch your refrigerator at the job site, AKA Mr. New York City himself. Mimmy Mims, glad to see you. How's your mom's doing, Mimmy Mims? Matter of fact, y'all send y'all condolences to Mimmy Mims because I believe his uncle passed away. So y'all, when you see Mimmy Mims, give him a shout out. He's a good member of the show, if you will. So now first, let's get back to the matter at hand. The beginning matter at hand is for those of you who say these are some trumped up charges. Okay. I want to start with you. These are not trumped up charges. And in fact, in doing research, I was able to determine that these crimes are often prosecuted in the state of New York and elsewhere. Now, to my Republicans, there are most of the time these charges are handled as misdemeanors. The state attorney of New York elected not to handle them as misdemeanors, but to handle them only as felonies. Now, in fairness to my Republican homeboys and homegirls, if you will, my Anglo-Saxon compadres, I do believe it was a mistake because they could have included the misdemeanor charges, which would have carried less time, but they probably could certainly get a conviction on. So when you remove that, you make it more difficult for a jury. And I, who follow quite a few court cases, I have determined that prosecutors try to box a jury in a corner, the proverbial corner, by presenting them with only one option. Is the evidence that you receive from us, does it point to what we say happened? And if so, you must convict him of this felony. That is an extreme gamble. And to all my Democrats and independents and those who love the law and the justice system, I am not saying that it's not warranted. I am saying it is a gamble in the political climate that we exist, because you will have some jurors potentially who will say, I'm not certain that I want to lock a man up for doing this in the grander scheme of things. It doesn't mean that it's not true what they're accusing him of. It just means that sometimes jurors do not respond and or act the way we would like them to based on the law. If they did, there would probably be at least 25% fewer people in jail. Okay? So let's begin by me saying that I believe point A, hold on for a second. How do I qualify for this jury? Do you live in New York City, Ms. Carter? If the answer to that is no, then stop asking petty questions. Get back to the Me Too movement where you reside. So that's my stance from the onset of this, is that it is a error on the part of the prosecutor, the district attorney, if you will, to remove any opportunity for the jury to convict him of a misdemeanor. Because contrary to what many of you believe, you still can get jail time for misdemeanors. I do not believe it was the right decision to exclude it when in the state of New York, generally, this is prosecuted as a misdemeanor. Now, in hindsight, in dealing with the district attorney, the reason why he is alleging that it rose to the level is because the underlying crime that he is alleging is that it was an attempt to defraud voters of an opportunity to process full information. Now, for those of you who do not understand what that means, they had something which they called a catch and kill scheme. Not like they used to do us, not catch and hang. Catch and kill, meaning they worked allegedly with the Inquirer. And most of you all have heard of the Inquirer, a little magazine that used to do little salacious stories on everybody. Well, it is alleged that Donald Trump, the owner of the Inquirer, his attorney, Michael Cohen, and if you guys remember Michael Cohen is the only person so far, no, Wiseman, who was the chief financial officer, are the only two who's done any time for any of the crimes that Donald Trump is alleged to be connected to so far. But it is alleged that they would go out, and when they found that there was some disturbing information about Donald Trump that may have impacted the voters' mindset if they found out, they would then go out, offer money to the individual. The individual would sign not only a non-disclosure agreement, but they would also sign a document that gave the National Enquirer 100% rights to any story associated that they might bring out related to that specific thing. Therefore, the National Enquirer would have 100% of the rights and an NDA, so it prevented that person from ever telling the story without the potential of being sued, i.e. the Stormy Daniels scenario, and as this district attorney is alleging, to at least two other ones. I know it's starting to get murky for some of you all. So essentially, what I'm telling you all, and I know most of y'all are saying, people pay somebody to shut up all the time. That is true. And I want you all to understand, when you hear these things, this is not about Stormy Daniels. It is not about who Donald Trump slept with. It is not about an alleged extra child that he had out there that nobody knows about. None of those things are what he's being charged for. He is being charged for this. He signed documents on behalf of the organization to which they are alleging he knew was false. Meaning, he signed documents saying, hold on for a second, let me see what we got. Nikki Carter asked the question. He did more than just pay. Yeah, I see. I'm gonna let you rock with that. Y'all know what she said. The allegation that is the crime that they are alleging is nothing about sleeping with somebody, and it's not even about the payoff. It's about the Trump signed the documents for the trust, which is the company, that alleges he was paying Michael Cohen for doing legal services. What he was, and that was that's the crime, because the organization signed documents certifying that they were paying Michael Cohen for doing legal services, when in fact they were paying Michael Cohen checks of about estimated $35,000, and those checks were to pay back the money that Michael Cohen paid to Stormy Daniels and to others, and to the National Enquirer AMI company that they paid to catch and kill these stories. So I want to make it clear, because some of you had this thing in your mind, it shouldn't be a crime if I can pay you to shut up. It's not a crime. It's a crime in the state of New York and in other places If you use money from your organization and you sign a document saying I'm paying this for legal services or I'm paying this for this type of service, and what you're actually doing is paying back money that somebody paid out of their personal account, you lied on the document. And that's the crime. And some of you might say, well, if it was his company, what difference does it make? It makes a lot of difference when it comes to taxes. It makes a lot of difference when it comes to the legality of what you get tax breaks for. You're not going to get a tax break because you paid off your stripper. Because if that was the case, you would have strippers all over the world getting good tax breaks. And quite honestly, those that sleep with them would get great tax breaks. Okay? Mim said he's going to be not guilty, so get ready, my people. And he very well may be, Mims. I'm on the fence right now. I believe it shall be difficult to find 12 jurors that will agree to prosecute him simply because we operate in a society by which people will lie to get themselves on a jury. And it's hard to identify. But again, so that we're clear, these 34 charges are not because he slept with Stormy Daniels and paid her to shut up. It is not because he allegedly has a love child. Where did I hear something about a love child? On that on one of them R. Kelly songs. And if we keep this up, then a love child will be born. Yeah, that right there. So I'm saying to you all, make sure you're understanding when you're talking to somebody else about it. He is not being charged for who he slept with. He is not being charged for asking them to shut up about it. He is not being charged for paying them money to shut up. He is being charged because what he did was he signed documents from his organizational account to which he was the direct person, and they had already allegedly created the scheme that we're going to take company funds and I'm going to pay you back. So, Michael, you take the $135,000 for this one out of your account, pay it. I'm going to pay you back over a period of time, and I'm going to pay you from company money, and we're going to say it's because of legal services, but it's not. It's the payback that you paid this money out to keep everything quiet. That is a felony and misdemeanor. Okay? James says, so he more or less laundered it. That's an easy way to say it. James gave y'all the street version. He laundered the money. Okay? The other part of that you guys must consider is this. Many people will say, oh, they wouldn't have charged the average person. The average person don't have to be paying somebody to shut up about sleeping with them. If Leroy is sleeping with Aisha and she decides she want to tell, I'm pretty sure Leroy ain't gonna give her $135,000. He might give her $30 and some snacks. I'm just saying. The average person isn't going to go into their corporate account because most of us don't have, well, most of y'all don't have a corporate account to go into. But if you did, and you went into that, hold on. Nikki Carter said, Leroy gonna pay me. First of all, Nikki Carter, you talk so much, Leroy ain't gonna pay you to shut up because he know you gonna tell on yourself anyway. Matter of fact, any Leroy out there, Leroy, Lewis, whoever you want to call yourself, don't mess with Nikki Carter because I'm telling you, she be on the show every week putting out her business. Anyway, I digress from that. But the whole premise is, I don't want you guys to be out here making arguments and feeling some kind of way about things that are not true. When you hear people say they're trying to indict him for sleeping with Stormy Daniels, nobody cares about Stormy Daniels. Nobody cares about her dancing, stripping, sleeping with him, whatever she did. Nobody cares. And so you all don't make this about her. Look, Stormy Daniels has paid more than a hefty fine for it. Matter of fact, I think she owes Donald Trump's legal team almost $600,000. So do not make this about Stormy Daniels. Do not make this about an illegitimate child. Do not make this about another woman that you will hear about during the course of this. This is about what James breaks down to: laundering money or falsifying. And I am certain that by the time this case is over, even if he does not get convicted of this one thing, he gonna have to see the IRS. And for those of you who say they're just piling on, you're saying he's piling on because he got another thing going on in Georgia that I've been checking with my sources, and I'm almost certain that the state of Georgia is going to charge him in an election case in the not so distant future. But people, it is not the legal system picking on Donald J. Trump. Donald J. Trump has allegedly been doing things for years that he has been comfortable talking about. He calls them loopholes, the same things he calls loopholes you've been having Negroes and poor white folks get locked up for years for. James said they talking about them RICO charges. You talking about in Georgia, right, James? Nicky Carter said this New York thing isn't as bad as the other stuff. It isn't, with the exception of this. The New York thing is the first case that proves it doesn't matter who you are, you can be charged. We have been dealing, and I say we, I'm talking about the American people, because as I often tell you guys, I am an independent, meaning I am registered as an independent voter, so I am not affiliated with Democrat or Republicans. I like to be able to make my own mind up. And it also ensures that anytime there's an election, people can't assume based on my party affiliation how I'm going to vote. But we have dealt with these allegations and things about Donald Trump for so long that it had almost broken both our political system and our judicial system. So now we are seeing the proverbial chickens coming home to roost. And no, it's not the worst thing he's ever done, but it's the first time somebody has said, you're going to have to answer this in court, in front of people, and you're not going to be able to get it. Mind you, Donald Trump has lost a lot of cases in court. He had the Trump University scandal that he was part of. He has been taken to court many a time for not paying companies that did work for him. He's lost in court before, but the stakes are much higher now because he's been trying to run to the election process again to keep from being charged, because we operate in a political system in America where we stop messing with people legally anytime there is an election season, if you will, going on. Since this has already started, they will not be shutting down the process for him to get a chance to do what he allegedly did before. So, again, I want you all to understand he has 34 counts. 34 counts, if you must know, comes from 34 different checks that was written that he actually signed himself. The 34 counts are each case, each check, each time Donald Trump paid someone money for monies they paid out to somebody else, to which they claimed from the business perspective came from another purpose. As James said, i.e., you laundered money. You took company money and you paid back something to which Donald Trump, the individual, remember now, and I'm going to move on in a second, but I want you to remember this. The company cannot pay hush money for somebody that you slept with legally, because there are shareholders. Now, if you had an organization that you were the sole person meaning you had 100% control and ownership of the company, you could technically say, I'm going to take my money and do whatever I want to do with it. But when you are talking about a trust or you're talking about an organization who has shareholders, you cannot say the company can pay for my indiscretions without documenting. Now, had Donald Trump filled out a piece of paperwork that says the trust is paying for Michael Cohen to be refunded for paying Stormy Daniels to shut up, he would not be in court right now, because that would have been true and accurate. It was, he committed a crime by attempting to ensure the American people wouldn't find out about this. So he paid this person. And then that, so as they often say, it's sometimes it ain't the crime, it's the cover up. I don't know if y'all ever heard that before, but those of us who pay attention to a lot of stuff legally, that's one of the things you often hear. Many times it is not the crime itself. It is what you do in the cover up of that crime that will get you locked up. Nikki Carter said, now we know why he keeps saying they are interfering with the election. That's essentially what he did. Absolutely. That is absolutely. And you got to think, there are statute of limitations concerns. So sometimes the prosecution is forced to, like Donald Trump, he won one election. He did his 4 years. He lost the second one. He is qualified to run again for 4 more years. He intended to keep running to prevent our judicial system from cross-contaminating our political system. And that's why, that's the only reason why he's running. Listen, people, you do not make an exceptional amount of money being the president. Okay? Oh, look at my armor bearer, Esther Shepard. How you doing? Let me see who else is up here. Taya Matthews, what's going on, girl? Nikki Carter said, I'm batting 100 tonight. Well, I don't know if you're batting 100, but you're doing better than you normally do, because you normally have a bunch of misinformation. But, so, understand, as a president, I believe you get paid around $400,000 a year, maybe a little bit more. I think the vice president makes $200,000 a year. So if you are a millionaire, billionaire, whichever you are, and you're running for the office of the president, you're running for that position for the power that comes with it and the influence that comes with it. You don't have $1 billion and you're running to be president because you think you're going to get rich. You're not. Now, you can increase your business's value, although I will say Donald Trump's may have worked the opposite for him. But again, Donald J. Trump is running for president again because he knows it may be the only thing that prevents him from being incarcerated if he could win. So anyway, that's enough of that, people. I just wanted, because so many people asked me about it. So many people had what I would like to call misinformation. So many people, and for my Republican counterparts, it's nothing wrong with you assessing something. That's why on the show, I like to go back and give you the facts, tell you where to go find it. And for those of you who want to look it up yourself, if you look up the New York Statute 175.10, you will get a better understanding of what that law is. And if you go back and read what the transcripts from the district attorney, you will understand what they're alleging, and it will become more clear that they are not alleging that Donald J. Look at Mother Rouse. Good afternoon, Mother Yvonne Rouse. She done put I don't know if that's the clapping sound or that's a fist with some money in it. Are you trying to say I'm about to get some money or something? Or that's just a clap? Whatever it is looking wonderful. All right. So, so that's to clear that up. Let's go to the next thing. All right. This one right here I'm gonna go to because it is absolutely. I didn't even have to know the race of the individual when somebody sent me this headline. I'm gonna read the headline to you all. The headline reads, "Bank robber identified after writing the demand note on his paycheck stub." Somebody, anybody out there, tell me what is the race of this individual? Okay, let me see. Richard is up here. Let me see where Trump supporters don't read. Richard, now we're not going to be that way. We're not going to talk about our brothers and sisters who happen to be Republican. All right, again, so that I know it's not just me, here's the headline. Bank robber identified after writing the demand note on his paycheck stub. Can any of you out there in listening land tell me what is the race of this individual without me even identifying it? Once again, listen to the headline. Bank robber identified after writing the demand note on his paycheck stub. What was he, people? Anyone? Red hats messing up their brains, whatever. Anybody want to tell me, take a gamble at what was the race of the individual who went into a bank, robbed the bank, wrote the note on his own paycheck stub? Y'all know. I don't want to say it out loud because I don't want y'all to say that I'm racist. But y'all know who it is and what it is. Let me read y'all the whole thing. Detroit, that's another sign, but Detroit bank robber who's accused of targeting 4 different banks was located by the FBI after writing his demands on his own paycheck stub. The FBI has been searching for robbers who targeted financial institutions in East Point, Grosse Pointe Woods, Harper Woods, Redford Townships. The Redford Township robbery is when it all started falling apart for the alleged victims, for the alleged thieves, rather. Police allege that Colin Carl Love Jr. Now, Nikki Carter, look, first of all, Johnny done put his hands over his face because he already know. Nikki Carter talking about what's his name. You don't need to know his name, but I just told it to you. You didn't need to know his name because they said the fool went in there and wrote the demand on his own paycheck stub. You know who that was. You know he was one of us. White people, I know how y'all white folks all around the world right now that's listening to me are laughing because they were saying they ain't one of ours. But police, look at Johnny done told y'all it's a brother. Nikki Carter gone. See, that's why we don't even talk to you. It says police allege that Colin Carl Love Jr. walked into a community choice credit union and handed the teller a note that read, "I want $20,000, all $100 bills, no die pack, no tracking device or funny business. I have a gun and I will shoot somebody. PSA, give me this check back when done." Really, people? Did y'all hear what he wrote up there? Let me read it to you one more time. This is what Mr. Love Jr. wrote on his. "I want $20,000, all $100 bills, no die pack, no tracking devices or funny business. I have a gun and I will shoot somebody. PSA, give me this check back when done." Somebody gave birth to this fool. It said the bank teller went to the back to get the money and told the manager what was going on. While the manager called authorities, the teller gave Love $4,000. $4,000, man. That right there. Lady Elegant said, in my Red Fox voice, "You big dummy." Absolutely, man. Criminals are not the smartest, especially him. What Richard say? He is from Flint, the water messing with his common sense. Ain't got nothing to do with the water. Mimi Mim said, Donnell, Pokey, and Raheem. Absolutely. I'm just trying to tell y'all, think about this. Sometimes my people make me want to go to the other 42% of my DNA because I can't make this up. First of all, fool, you done went in there and asked for 20 grand. How did you think the teller was going to come back with 20 grand and nobody know? First of all, what bank you ever went in and went to the teller and said, give me 20 grand? When you're asking for that volume of money, most of the time you're going to ask, can you speak to somebody? They're going to take you around. They don't normally just hand 20 grand across the windshield. But old Mr. Love Jr. wants 20 grand, $100 bills, no die pack, no tracking device, like that was going to matter. I have a gun, I'm going to shoot somebody, and PSA, give me this check back when you done. You dummy. James said he must have been homeschooled. So once the police arrived, they said that Love left behind his demand note, which was written on a paycheck stub from a temp agency that included his name. The temp agency also provided police with the man's cell phone number, which authority traced to Cash App accounts. That's not all. However, they note that during the Harper Woods bank robbery, the man again used his pay stub, which was tested by the FBI and returned a match for his fingerprints. Eventually, police were able to gather enough information to arrest Love on probable cause. A second man, Laurent Hill, was also arrested. This fool done went to 2 banks, at least, with his paycheck stub. See, first of all, he already working at a temp agency. So you didn't have nothing else to do. You couldn't find one other piece of paper other than your paycheck stub twice. To which you asking somebody, give me this bread right now. I don't want them die packs in it. Don't be putting no tracking devices in it. And can I get that check back? He should have just asked to cash the check. Nikki Carter said, I know the police called him and he answered. Gotta be. James said he gonna be washing them drawers. Absolutely. I'm telling y'all people, this is the reason why sometimes I'm ashamed, because I look at the level. Y'all know what? Most of the time, when our white counterparts go somewhere and rob the place, they getting big money. First of all, do y'all remember what I said? The dude asked for 20 grand, all $100 bills. The chick came back and gave him 4 grand. This dude right here, Cassandra, what's going on, girl? This dude got less from the bank than some of y'all getting your paychecks. He asked for 20, but he left with 4 grand. First of all, Mr. Love Jr., you stupid. Because, again, they wasn't going to give you 20 grand across no glass window. Ooh, you get on my nerve. Now, we as black folks got to listen to this for months and months to come with white folks around the world laughing at us talking about, yep, that's how they do it. I'm tired of y'all just doing stuff to make us look worse. Nikki Carter said Colin had to be on really hard times. No, he wasn't. Go on, look, see, Nikki, there we go with that. And that's what white people expect us to do. Start making up excuses as to why Colin Jr. would come up in there. Colin went in there with his paycheck stub to 2 different banks. He could have got $4,000 from trying to stick up a grocery store and hold on, my disclaimer, I'm not telling any of you fools to do this. But I'm saying he could have went to a grocery store on payday, the ones that cash checks, and got that. Richard said paper like eggs is expensive. You better believe it. So if any of y'all know Mr. Love, or if any of y'all that are in the Detroit jail and y'all listening to the show tonight, I want y'all to tell Mr. Love, you stupid. And we are totally ashamed in the black community that you took the time. Matter of fact, and let me ask y'all a question. Anybody know who Laurent Hill is? You stupid for rolling with a dude that would go in there with his pay stub. You was destined to get caught. You should have checked the plan out. You should have looked at the paper. Hey, bruh, let me see what you writing this down on. You went in there with somebody dumber than you. Nicky Carter said he tried to cash the check like you said. I don't understand it. And again, this is for Mr. Laurent Hill. You're stupid for associating. You're going to commit a crime and you're not. Y'all know how when we watching TV, right? And we see the movies where they're planning the crime, right? And what do white folks do when they planning the crime? They meet in an old garage somewhere. They meet somewhere for days and weeks and they plan stuff out. They write down on the big board. See, you ain't got no easels in the hood. White people have the board up there that they can wipe off and they draw the pictures of the getaway car. They lay out the stuff on here. This is me. This is you. Laurent and Mr. Love didn't do that. They didn't have no easel. They didn't do the check marks on it. Okay, let me see. Do we got some plain white paper? Are we doing this with gloves on? What are we going to ask for in the note? Where are you going at? Are you going to the teller counter? You ain't do none of that. Nicky Carter said Colin should have watched Heat. Think about it, people. That's why y'all watch TV. You watch TV so you know exactly what to do and not to do. But instead of taking clef notes from the movies, you went in there, Laurent Hill. You went in there with this fool and you didn't have a game plan. And that's why you in jail with him. And they probably arrested. Andy Moore said, Dumb and Dumber. Absolutely. I'm tired of y'all being so lazy that you can't even rob a bank right. You can't even plan for that. That's why I won't no regular company hire you. A regular company ain't gonna hire you because sometimes in the interview process, they realize you're not a good fit. You don't plan. You don't lay out stuff. If I'm gonna commit a crime, I'm going to get some white people to commit it with me. I want some thinkers, some critical thinkers. I want to commit a crime with somebody that I got a 75% chance of getting out of the crime. I'm not going to commit a crime with Laurent. I'm not going to commit a crime with Carl. Come on, people. No thought process whatsoever. And so in the end, what happens? Exactly what should have. They got both of them fools locked up. Didn't even, first of all, if it's two of y'all and you only got $4,000, you actually are looking at 25 years for robbing a bank and y'all splitting $4,000, which means you got $2,000. You could have worked your part-time job and got $2,000. If you go rob a bank and take that type of risk, you ain't supposed to leave there with less than what you asked for. See, because when y'all watch the movies, what do white people do? White people go in there and say, give me all the money. They go in there with the little plastic cable ties. They tie up everybody's hands and their feet. And when they tie up their hands and their feet, they make them all sit on the floor like little Indians. They got somebody that's walking around saying, if you look up, we're going to shoot somebody. They be putting the gun to the back of the bank manager's head. They make sure they go in there with big bags. You could put $4,000 in your pocket, fool. I'm ashamed, people. I'm ashamed. And this is the reason why white people don't take us serious in America. We can't even commit crimes right. Yo, paycheck stub. Nikki Carter said white people hit when the bank opens. Absolutely, Nikki Carter. That's what they do because it's on the board. When we going to get them? Get them first thing in the morning. We ain't going in there at lunchtime. And you let the lady leave. You let that lady go to the back. That's what, matter of fact, let me read that one more time before I move on. It says the bank teller went to the back to get the money and told the manager. When do you ever see a white bank robber allowing anybody to go to the back by themselves? You let her go take your pay stub with "Hi, my name is Mr. Robber" written on it, and you let her walk to the back and tell on you. The manager ain't even in sight. Lady Elegance Pritchard said they should have watched Set It Off to get some pointers. Should have watched something. You let this lady leave your presence and go to the back. They call the police. See, you can't call the police on white bank robbers because your hands is tied up. You let her go to the back, bruh. You should have just gave her your cell phone and say, look, call the police while you give me, I know. This Negro took an 80% cut in pay from what he was asking. The dude was asking for 20 grand. She bought the dude 4,000. Bruh. Dumb. Anyway, people, let's move on for that and get this last thing out the way. This is serious right here, so I want y'all to listen to it. Mississippi cops tortured Michael Corey Jenkins before shoving a gun in his mouth and shooting off his tongue. Michael Corey Jenkins was tortured by police officers in Rankin County, Mississippi, and there are some very shady circumstances around the incident. According to the Associated Press report, Jenkins and another named Eddie Terrell Parker had their home raided on a no-knock warrant back in January. Several white deputies subjected them to inhumane levels of abuse for 90 minutes. Both Jenkins and Parker were waterboarded with milk and tased. There was milk coming out of my nose and mouth, Parker told the Associated Press in an interview. I've never been in that position and felt that way that I felt that night. For his part, Jenkins was forced to his knees, where an officer stuck a gun inside his mouth and pulled the trigger. The round exited behind his ear, broke his jaw, blew off part of his tongue that had to be sewed back on. To this day, he has extreme difficulty speaking and eating. Jenkins was subsequently charged with assaulting an officer, drug possession, while Parker was charged with possession of paraphernalia and disorderly conduct. An investigation into the incident is ongoing, but more details about the officer's involvement and as shady as you think. According to WLBT, Deputy Napoleon Vallano turned on his body camera at 9:41 p.m., which was 2 hours prior to Jenkins being shot. There wasn't another recording from the scene until Deputy Hunter Lewis activated his recording at 1:25 a.m. for approximately 20 minutes. 3.5 hours is completely unaccounted for and raises a whole lot of questions. I want y'all to think about this. They went into this place on a no-knock warrant. For those of you who have never had any interaction with the law, a no-knock warrant is a warrant that is signed by a judge that generally states that they believe that they need to go in with complete urgency for both safety reasons and to prevent the escape and alert of somebody. So they get what is called a no-knock warrant. It means that they can kick your door in without having to announce that they are the police, which they did. They are alleging that they were waterboarded using milk. For those who do not know what waterboarding is, if you ever heard of Gitmo, Guantanamo Bay, you used to hear about people who would lay prisoners on their backs, put a towel over their face that holds their mouth open, and they would consistently pour pitchers of water on it until a person's stomach would feel and they would begin to throw up. forcing them to feel that uncomfortable space. Ultimately, it was torturing them. Now, I do know that I have seen cases where it was alleged in places that I know about. The bottom line here is this, is that in this particular case, they, at some point, now mind you, all they got out of this whole thing was some drug paraphernalia and a little bit of drugs. It wasn't even enough to do, but you charged them for, listen to what they was charged for though. This is what gets me. One of the Jenkins was charged with assaulting an officer and drug possession, while Parker was charged with possessing paraphernalia and disorderly conduct. Well, if you are waterboarding me, my conduct is not going to be excellent. And generally speaking, no knock warrants almost always wind up with somebody being charged with assaulting an officer, because when somebody breaks into your home and you're not expecting them and they don't have to announce that they are the police, what generally happens is you go into fight or flight mode, which is exactly what is alleged here. But to put a gun in someone's mouth, to pull the trigger, to shoot off part of their tongue, breaking their jaw, I'm still uncertain of what could the police possibly say warranted that action. And for those of you who are saying, oh, they're probably going to get over with it, here's the thing. Police can shoot you for a lot of different reasons. If you are in the commission of a crime and they feel and they believe that their safety or the safety of someone else is in jeopardy, if they believe that there's going to be great bodily harm. But let me tell you what they can't do. I can shoot you, but I can't put a gun in your mouth and pull the trigger. And for those of you say, oh, they're going to get away with it, it's a little bit more difficult to get away with putting a gun in somebody's mouth than shooting them from 3 steps away. One, you can say they were charging at me. Another one, the muzzle impact, the powder burns, the entry point of the bullet will tell a story. So you can't shoot somebody in the mouth and there is no bullet prints on the lips. There is no entry point in the chin. There is only an exit point coming out through the bottom of your chin area, which tells the medical people that the gun must have been in your mouth. And that is probably where there's going to be the greatest amount of challenge for those police officers. But again, to my Anglo-Saxon counterparts, to white America, let me say this. When you hear stories like this, stop asking the question as to why Black folks sometimes feel the way that they do about law enforcement. And I often say this on the show. All law enforcement are not bad. I know some very good law enforcement. I have good personal relationships with some law enforcement officers. They have a tough job. Hold on for a second. Let me see what Mimi Mims talking about. You have to remember Staten Island, New York. Okay, yeah. And let me say this. In the South, it gets a little bit worse. But I have relationships with good law enforcement officers that do an excellent job in the community. And they do have a tough job. It's tough when you got to go out on calls for domestic violence, for family situations, and you don't know what to expect. Law enforcement officers do not have the easiest job. However, there are a small portion in reference to the large amount of law enforcement officers across the United States. There's a small portion out there that are just terrible. They're mean-spirited. They are scared, shouldn't be in the job. You'll get shot quick dealing with them. And then you got that even smaller percentage that are just evil people. There's a lot of evil people in this world. So people, look, that's it for tonight. I'm tired. Got to call and check on mama, make sure everything good. But I just am glad that y'all keep joining the show. I'm going to see y'all next week.
It's about that time, baby.
It's time to get off the show.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. The Sinclair Show is on.
It's on.
Run it with your friends. Come on.
Come on.